music.
There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
We won't be out long.
Take your time. Track's all yours.
You ready? The name on the middle of that steering wheel should tell you that I was born ready. Hit it. Attaboy.
Let me drive. I won't make a fool out of you.
I got a message for all of them. Shake and bake.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind?
That just happened.
These cars, you sit in a box, a coffin, gasoline all around you. It isn't like it being inside a bomb.
It's tough enough being a girl on the track. Living in my dad's shadow doesn't help much.
You have to be kind to the car. You feel the poor thing groaning underneath you.
No race was ever won in the first corner.
I'm gonna give you an engine, low to the ground, extra big oil pan will cut the wind from underneath you. That'll give you 30 to 40 more horsepower.
Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
Brakes are warm. Tires are warm.
I'll work in the cars and I'll drive and I'll eat and sleep and I'll work in the cars and I'll drive.
Damn fast, and when he runs so close together, it requires fantastic concentration and rather special skills.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
If you're going to push a piece of machinery to the limit and expect it to hold together, you have to have some sense of where that limit is.
Besides, the best drivers don't dwell on the future or the past. The best drivers focus only on the present.
They could never have imagined it, those pioneers who invented the automobile, that it would possess us like this in our imaginations, our dreams.
I'm gonna give you a fuel line that will hold an extra gallon of gas. I'm gonna shave half an inch off you and shape you like a bullet.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
Racing is in my blood.
I was put on this earth to race cars.
I accept every time I get in my car. There's 20% chance I could die, and I can live with it, but not 1% more.
No, Nicky, don't bring the percentages into this. Don't be a pro. The minute you do that, you kill what's good about this. You kill the sport.
And at that speed, your reactions can barely keep up with these sudden changes in direction.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up?
You want me to work the pit and you drive? Fine, we'll try that.
The car's a living, breathing thing, and she's alive.
If any of us imagined, really imagined, what it would be like to go into a tree at 150 miles an hour, we would probably never get into the cars at all. None of us.
Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
I am just as good as anybody out there on that track, and I don't need anybody to win my races for me.
I wish my daddy were alive to see this, to feel this.
And when we get you primed, painted, and weighed, you'll be ready to go out on that racetrack. You hear me? You're gonna be perfect.
You don't understand what happens, do you? They make 10,000 cars, they make them exactly the same way, and one or two of them turn out to be something special. Nobody knows why.
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
So it has always seemed to me that to do something very dangerous requires a certain absence of imagination.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
Soon you will know what it is like to be defeated by the hands of somebody who is truly better than you.
The only thing to do here is to drive just as fast as you know how and hope your car doesn't break.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
If you ain't first, you're last. There's 40 other vultures out there who managed to finish the race on their tires. You see Darrell Waltrip using up his tires?
There's nothing I can't do with a race car.
Oh, hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? Come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
Sometimes you could swear the whole thing's falling to bits.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
On the other hand, I suppose potential problems are in the back of your mind all the time.
So in many ways, I feel responsible for what happened. And
You were, but trust me, watching you win those races while I was fighting for my life, you were equally responsible for getting me back in the car.
You're so lucky. You sit there all closed in by machinery and bolts, precise things. There's hardly any room for you. It must be a nice, safe feeling.
You gotta learn to trust something. Might just as well be the seat of your pants.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing is important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
Well, we can drive. We can drive beyond the limits of the tires, the engine, the car, anything else.
look out there. Out there is the perfect lap. No mistakes. Every gear change, every corner. Perfect. You see it.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Ask any racer, any real racer. It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
But it isn't just business, is it? What we do. It's passion, love, which is why we are prepared to risk our lives for it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Why does everybody keep telling me what my problem is?
That you get so emotional.
You would never, ever say that to a guy.
If you don't leave your feelings off the track, you're never going to get what you want.
I'm a race driver, and I can win it on my own! Please let me race.
Fine. Then let's race.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Grand Prix World Series. We are here in Sentul, Indonesia for round 3 of the championship. We've already had 2 fantastic races in this championship with 2 different winners in League 2 and 2 different winners in League 1. First of all, today we are going to bring you the League 2 race, and at the top of the standings heading into today is Brendan Hartley in the Pacific Grand Prix, 43 points to his name with a win and a second place in the opening 2 rounds. Tatiana Calderon won last time out in Yongam, and that elevates her up to second place in the standings. That's going to put Mastercard Lola in good stead when we have the upgrade window at the end of this race. Lucas Di Grassi, a couple of third places, puts him up in third in the championship as well. And then fairly close among the next ones, we've got Sato in fourth, Alguersuari in fifth, and Lundgaard in sixth. The 2 Scuderia Colonis up there in the top 6. Sam Bird, Sergio Sette Camara, Jerome D'Ambrosio, and Alexander Rossi make up the rest of the top 10 there. And in the team's standings, Pacific Grand Prix lead the way on 51 points, head of Mastercard Lola. Saxbean and Dimer third and fourth, head of Scuderia Coloni. Force India, LaRousse, Carlin, Dams Viant and Real are also in the top 10. Still plenty of points to play for in the rest of the season. And we have a couple of driver changes to bring you before we head down to the grid. Mastercard Lola has booted Sebastian Ogier into the reserve role and brought up Susie Wolff in what will now be an all-female driver lineup there. She'll make her return to a race seat in the Grand Prix World Series back with Mastercard Lola. Be interesting to see how she gets along there. And at Scuderia Coloni, Marcus Armstrong was given a race ban after the opening round, and with Jaime Alguersuari doing such a good job on his fill-in performance, Gemma Dixon has taken the decision to keep him in the seat. So will he be able to repay that faith there? We will see how he fares. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how he gets on. Can he make the most of this opportunity that he has been given? And make the most of that opportunity he has, as Alguersuari puts it onto pole position in what was a very closely contested qualifying session for Sentul. It's a short lap, it's only 70 odd seconds. But to see how close it is, take a look through the grid here. Alguersuari's on pole, only 34 thousandths ahead of Marcus Ericsson and Nepomuceno. Sam Bird and Christian Lundgaard also within a tenth of Alguersuari's pole effort. And then we have Rossi, Wehrlein, Lotterer, Eilert, Aiken and championship leader Brendan Hartley rounding out the top 10. Only 0.285 behind pole position is Hartley in 10th place. That's how close the margins are around here. And looking through the next 10 on the grid for McNish, all the way down to Di Grassi, still only about half a second in it. Any slight mistake in qualifying would have put them right down near the bottom of the order. And I think this bodes really well for the race today as to how closely contested it will be. Bringing up the rear, Jake Dennis. He's only half a second off himself, but he's down in 21st. And Susie Wolff, 7 tenths away in 22nd on her return to the Grand Prix World Series. Then Oliver Turvey, Teo Porcher, Sergio Sette Camara also within a second of pole. Valentino Rossi, the only driver outside of that 1 second mark, but still 1.1 seconds away is still a very close margin for this grid. It's going to be an absolutely fascinating contest, and to take you through it, here is Tom Cairns.
Well, this League 2 campaign has been compelling so far from the first 2 rounds in Sepang and Yongam. Can Sentul live up to that? We've got Jaime Alguersuari on pole for the first time in a long time, with Marcus Ericsson in the Fonmetal alongside. We've got the 3 lights on, 4, 5, come on! Lights out, and away we go. Alguersuari gets off the line, as does Ericsson. But what about Sam Bird? How is he getting on? But Christian Lundgaard seems to be on rather well, as is Pascal Wehrlein, who's diving up to the inside into turn 1. And he's managed to get his Fun Marcel into second place, ahead of his teammate. So Alguersuari stays in the lead. Pascal Wehrlein second. We've got Christian Lundgaard dropping back a little bit. There's Brendan Hartley running wide at turn 2, but seems to have kept his car on track. So far, no collisions as far as we know, but there's a long way to go in this race here in Indonesia. There's contact at the back at turn 3. There's what looks like Brendan Hartley going off the track. Or is that Sergei Sete camera? It was difficult to tell by the camera angle which driver's helmet it was. I think it might have been Brendan Hartley, as I first thought. Yes, and he got tagged actually by the MasterCard loader that got tagged by another car going into turn 3. So Brendan Hartley has lost time and places because of that. And the stewards have concluded no further action is going to be taken on that. So it's as you were at the front. There was some debris flown off in the air, so I'd imagine there'll be a car at least into the pit lane at the end of the opening lap. We're back to the front with Alguersuari in the lead, with Wehrlein in second place. Two drivers who have raced in Formula 1 in the past and looking to make a name of themselves in the Grand Prix World Series. Jaime Alguersuari has won before with the Prost team in Fuji 2 seasons ago. Now we can see an overtake there. Looks like Alexander Rossi getting ahead of Sam Bird and going up into 5th position. So the American making up ground before the opening lap has been completed. And we can see Andrea Moda making the most of the slipstream of the Sax speed in France. That is Andre Lotter diving up the inside of Sam Bird and putting himself up into what looked like it was going to be in 6th place, but Bird has resisted. So Bird stays in front. And Alguersuari's gone off the track. Alguersuari's run wide, he's gone through the gravel, and he's damaged his front wing. So from P1 down to pretty much dead last, Jaime Alguersuari has thrown it all the way in the Coloni. We're going to get a replay as we see the Spaniard carrying way too much speed into the 3rd turn of the track, and the front wing has been disintegrated. So that'll be him going into the pit lane at the end of lap 1. What a shame. So he's left himself with more work to do than desired. And this is not the start to his race. And that hands the lead to Pascal Wehrlein. And Marcus Ericsson going up into 2nd place. It's a Fun Mattel 1 and 2. As Alguersuari looks to get his car back on track, providing he does not reverse back into the path of another car. And the only car behind him is Lucas Di Grassi, who came into the pit lane at the end of lap 1. Callum Eilert up into 5th place then in the LaRousse. LaRousse, who are managed this season by Chris Hosey. Aiming to pick up more points here. After Alexander Rossi got them their first points of the season, I believe, back in Yongam a few weeks ago. We can see the other Coloni there of Christian Lundgaard, who's trying to make up for his teammate's mishap. As we see Jack Aiken looking to make a move on the race winner of last time out, Tatiana Calderon, in the MasterCard layer. She's up in 8th place. Now, she was on pole last time out. And so far in this race, she's made very good progress, up from 14th on the grid to 8th position. We are only on lap 3 as Alguersuari's in the pits at the end of the 2nd lap, and I'd imagine he will be down a lap by the time he rejoins. As we see Théo Pourchaire locking up into the slow right-left chicane. Now, did he get attacked from someone from behind, or did he lock up all by himself? Let's have a look. He actually gets tapped from behind by the Real. Couldn't quite tell whether it was not Mike Conway, it's the other Real. That will be Oliver Turvey. But at least both of them have kept going this time. And now we see the field coming around to complete the 3rd lap of the race. Alguersuari has rejoined the race, so he stays on the lead lap. But he's left himself with far too much work to do. With it being only a 56 lap race, it's quite a short lap, is this Sentul International Circuit in Indonesia, 3.9 kilometres. And we can see an overtake there. That looks like Jack Aiken diving up the inside of Tatiana Calderon. He had been threatening her for the last lap or so, and he's managed to pull off an overtake to go up into 8th position. We've got Wehrlein in the lead there, with his teammate in hot pursuit. We've got Christian Lundgaard and Alexander Rossi. We've got 2 Larussas in the top 5, 2 Von Mattels in the top 2 positions, with the Coloni in that particular sandwich. Andre Losworth for Andrea Modus in 6th place, Sam Bird 7th, Jack Aiken for Force India in 8th, Tatiana Calderon for MasterCard Lola in 9th, and Kamiya Sato is in 10th place in the Dome, who are looking to bounce back after a really disappointing showing in Yeonggam. They were so promising in Malaysia, as we see Brendan Hartley trying to make up for lost time. He gets past Mike Conway for 14th position. So the New Zealander making up for lost time. Andre Losser with the fastest lap of the race, 1:13.3. In case you are new to the Grand Prix World Series, you do get a point for the fastest lap. You get a point also for qualifying on pole position. And the point system for the points finishes is the same as what it is in real life Formula 1. 25 for the win, 18 for second, 15 for third, etc. And we saw an overtake actually from Sebastian Loeb. He's got in front of Mike Conway to go up into 15th position, and now we see Fabio Lima diving at the inside of what looked like Jerome D'Ambrosio. And he's gone up into P17, no problem. And there's an engine problem there. That looks like a ram, and that is the Scotsman Alan McNish. I was going to say everyone in this race is running. Well, not anymore now. McNish's engine has given up the ghost, and he becomes the first retirement of this League 2 race here in Sentul. And Alguersuari has posted a new fastest lap of the race. At least it's something he can fight for now, whilst he tries to catch up to the back of the field. And he'll move up a place once McNish has pulled off the circuit. And he's not doing himself any favours, or any of the other drivers' favours. This is getting quite dangerous actually from McNish, taking all the time to pull to the side of the track, and he's actually on the racing line. So I wonder if the stewards may have something to say on McNish's driving standards there. He's completed the lap, but that's as far as it's going to go for him. So he pulls off, and the Ram is out of the race. And I would imagine that the stewards may have a few words with him afterwards for not pulling off sooner. The engine failure is the confirmation. So far this season, Alan McNish, in terms of how his season has gone, I think that's his first result. And there's an engine problem as well. We can't quite tell in the background who that is. Is that a Force India that's slowing? No, it's the other Ram. It's the other Ram of Sebastian Loeb, who's also got an engine failure. 2 Rams out in a space of a lap. Now Loeb, it's got the field. Oh dear! Oh no! That's the Pacific of Sergio Sete Camera. Oh, he's taking him out as a result of it. That is shocking from Sebastian Loeb. And Sergio Sete Camera, who's trying to dodge round it, just couldn't get out of the way, and the front right is gone. And for the second time in 3 races, Sergio Sete Camera, innocent bystander, is out of the race whilst trying to dodge another car. Kevin McMullen will be absolutely livid. Team manager of the Pacific Racing Team. Up in the air. And Sete Camera, well, what must he be feeling? And what must Sebastian Loeb be thinking about pulling off the racetrack not soon enough? There will be words after. I'll be interested to see what the stewards say on that particular incident involving the Brazilian and the Frenchman. We'll find out in a moment what they say. They may say no further action, but because he's taken him out of the race, that could result in a race ban. Now, interested to see what they say afterwards. And there we go. It's as I thought. Sebastian Loeb not only disqualified from the race, but he's also out of the next race in Fuji for round 4 of the championship. Not what he wanted. Not good for the team. And it's certainly not good for team manager Ross McGregor, which their reserve driver is Gary Paffett, the former Mercedes test driver from many years ago. He's never raced in the Grand Prix World Series before, so he's going to probably be given a go at it in Fuji. It's a disastrous race already for him. McNish out, Loeb out, and Loeb is banned for the next round in Fuji. And Sergio said to camera, well, he's going to be absolutely furious in terms of what's happened there involving him. As we see Turvey running wide a little bit, but at least he keeps his car on the circuit. Now, we've just seen Turvey is behind Teo Bolshare in 20th position. At least he's not out of sync with the majority of the field. I was going to say about Alan McNish, going back to what I was saying about him, he finished both Sepang and Yongam, 12th in Sepang, 15th in Yongam. Alguersuari setting a new fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 13.2. The fastest time we saw in qualifying was from Jaime Alguersuari with 1 minute 10.9. Calderon making a move on Jamia Sato into turn 1. Does she get the job done? I don't think she did on this occasion, as we see Degrassi locking up. He's able to get away with it. And where's Verline gone? Verline has dropped back. Ericsson's in the lead now. We didn't see what happened to Verline. Is Verline carrying a problem? Or did he make a mistake earlier on in the race? Either way, his teammate Marcus Ericsson's in the lead of the race. Verline is down in 4th place. And Rossi's move up into P3. Lundgaard up into P2. As we see Lima making a move up the inside. That is Jake Dennis in the Andrea Moda. He's got past. So that's a change in position outside the top 15. But you never know later on in the race, should misfortune hit other drivers. Verline not ducking into the pits at the end of the start, so it could well be a driver error of which he's been involved in. But at least he's still in the race, unlike a few of the others. So it's Von Mattel leading Coloni, leading LaRousse, leading Von Mattel, leading Andrea Moda, leading LaRousse. You can see an overtake from Jack Aiken in the Force India. Dive into the inside of Sunbird into turn 3. And he goes up into 7th position. You can also see a change in position there. That is Mike Conway getting past Takuma Sato in the dome. That's a change of position there. Lundgaard is running in a promising P2. He had a good showing in Yongan last time out. Bringing the car home in 4th position. Marcus Armstrong's not returned to the Coloni seat for this round. He was initially suspended, as we see the Andrea Moda of what looked like Andre Lotterer getting past Verline. Verline's race is going from bad to worse. And now he's been overtaken by the Andrea Moda. Ericsson's still in front, but we can see a potential change for 2nd place as Alexander Rossi dives to the inside of Christian Lundgaard, and Rossi has gone up into 2nd place in the LaRousse. He gets past the Dane and goes up into the runner-up spot and can set about catching the man in your picture, Marcus Ericsson, Indy 500 winner of 2022. Had his fair period in Formula 1 with Caterham and Sauber, but it didn't quite work out for him as he had hoped, but he's relishing his time in the Grand Prix World Series here, and obviously in IndyCar in real life. This is a totally different ball game to what it is in IndyCar, I suppose, but Ericsson is enjoying it nevertheless. So we're approaching the end of lap 11 of this race. It's going quite quickly, to be honest with you. It is a shorter circuit compared to Sepang and Yongam. And we won't be too far away from any pit stops at all. Going back to what I was saying about Marcus Armstrong, he was initially banned after his shenanigans with Sergio Sete Camera in Malaysia. But the Coloni team manager, Gemma Dixon, decided to give him another go at it after his promising, after Alguersuari's promising showing in place of Armstrong. So it's unknown whether Armstrong will be given his opportunity back in the Coloni seat anytime soon. There's Lundgaard in P3. Now Coloni so far this season, both drivers failing to finish in... I'll say failing to finish. Armstrong was excluded from the Sepang result. And Lundgaard didn't make it to the end due to mechanical problems. But in Yongam, Alguersuari came in 4th and Lundgaard in 5th. So far this season for the Coloni team, they are sat in P5. If they keep it up in this race, with Lundgaard in 3rd, and, well, with Alguersuari down the order, but it's not over yet. You never know in motor racing. With Alguersuari setting some blistering pace since he came into the pits, he may just have a chance of getting back into the top 10. Who knows? Luciano Piquetta in the Carlin up the inside of Jake Dennis into turn 1. Piquetta's had a promising couple of races as Dennis is nursing a problem and he is pulling to the side. Now, what could that be for the Brits? Either way, he's pulling to the side and he is going no further in this one. Jake Dennis out of the race again. And that is the 4th driver to retire from this race. At least that's one less car for the likes of Lucas Di Grassi and Jaime Alguersuari to pass on circuit. So back at the front, there is Lundgaard. And now Eilert thinking about a move on Pascal Wehrlein, very nearly making contact. And Jack Aiken is able to close in. Although he's run wide, and now Sam Bird is looking to make a move of his own on the Force India. But he's not able to get past either. Now we've seen the rear wing angle of the Fon Metal. How long will it be before we start seeing pit stops, I wonder? Alexander Rossi trying to keep up with Ericsson. Ericsson's in 2.2 seconds. And now we are beginning to see some pit stops as Rossi's coming in. And at the end of lap 14 as well. So I'd imagine he'll be on a 2-stop strategy, is the American. As is Jack Aiken. Is anyone else pitting in? Well, Tatiana Conner is, as is Brendan Hartley. And I imagine a few of the others are also heading for the pits. Fabio Lima is also in for Carlin. And what I forgot to mention actually is that Susie Wolf, who raced for the Moscard Lola team, as we see an overtake there, that looks like a LaRousse getting past the Fon Metal. That is Callum Eilert through ahead of Wehrlein, and he is in 4th position. So Wehrlein's race isn't getting any better at the moment. Once the race leader now down in what is 5th place now, as race leader Marcus Ericsson is coming into the pits. Now I'd imagine that'll be to cover off not Lundgaard, sorry, because Lundgaard has stayed out. But Alexander Rossi that came in the lap before. And that is D'Ambrosio off the track. That looks like a problem for the Force India. Not exactly sure what has happened to him. Is that an off or is that a mechanical problem? That looks like a mechanical problem to me, yeah. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone through the corner like that. D'Ambrosio pulling to the side. That's one less car for Ed Spencer to be preoccupied with. D'Ambrosio out of the race, unfortunately. Gearbox problems for him. But at least he hasn't been involved in any other incidents like Sebastian Loeb has been. So Ericsson's in the pits, Kimi Sato, Andre Lotterer coming in at the same time, Théo Pourchaire, Susie Wolf. I'm talking which of Susie Wolf, who raced for the MasterCard Lola team in Season 1, albeit that was under a different manager back then, has been drafted in place of Sebastian Ogier, who finished in the points last time out, but Marcus Johansson, the team manager of the MasterCard Lola team, decided that he wanted an all-female driver lineup for this round. There is Christian Lundgaard in the Coloni in the temporary race lead. And he's coming in for his stop at the end of lap 16. And Callum Ilott is heading for the pits as well, I think. So Pascal Wehrlein will be back in the race lead for now at least. Is he going on a one-stopper? That could explain his pace from earlier on. Alexander Rossi, who's stuck behind Valentino Rossi. Yes, there are two Rossis in this one. Lundgaard in the pits, Ilott, Conway and Piquetta and Valentino Rossi, so at least that's him out of the way for Alexander Rossi. The next man ahead of him is Christian Lundgaard, who's got out in front of Rossi, so Rossi wasn't able to keep hold of that position. Lundgaard was behind him before the pit stops had begun. So Lundgaard out in front of Rossi in 6th place on track. Once the pit stops are done, he should be in 2nd position. And there's Sam Bird in a temporary 2nd position. And Alguersuari's in the pits for the 2nd time. This is his first scheduled stop of the race. And Bird is right behind Pascal Wehrlein. And both of them are coming in at the same time. So Wehrlein and Bird are in the pits. Could well see Takuma Sato take over the lead for now, or is he going for the pits as well? No, he's staying out, is the Japanese driver. Sato going into the lead, Ericsson back up into 2nd place, 6 seconds behind the Japanese, although they've been closing them down on the fresher tyres. Lundgaard in P3, Alexander Rossi in P4, Lotterer, Wehrlein. In fact, Lotterer is ahead of Wehrlein at the moment. And I think Lotterer has already pitted. So Lotterer is in front of Wehrlein on merit. Ilott, Bird, Kimi Sato and Saskia Calderon are your top 10, but Takuma Sato has yet to make a pit stop so far, and Brendan Hartley has moved up into the points ahead of Calderon in the sole surviving Pacific. So you can see Takuma Sato continuing on, not stuck in traffic at the moment, which is good news for him. Interesting to see what his strategy is, to be exact, or what is expected to be. But he's not coming in at the end of this lap. He's probably going to stay out there until the likes of Marcus Ericsson and Christian Lundgaard have got close enough to overtake him. There is the Kiwi, Brendan Hartley, aiming for another good points haul. Pacific's position at the top of the League 2 team standings is looking increasingly tenuous at the moment. MasterCard Lola went into this one 2nd and Zach Speed in 3rd position. Although they won't be going to the top as it stands. I don't think Dome will be either. I think the biggest threat is probably going to be either Von Metal or Coloni, although Coloni are the more likely because of where Lundgaard and maybe Alguersuari later on could end up finishing. But Alguersuari's just pitted, so I doubt he's going to be back in the points by the end of this race, but who knows? Anything can happen in motor racing. "19 laps completed, just over a third of the way through this League 2 race in Sentul. And Callum Ilott is lining up Wehrlein for an overtake into turn 1. Has he done enough? Yes, he has. Excellent overtake from Callum Ilott. The Formula 2 runner-up of 2020 has got past the former Manor and Sauber Formula 1 driver Pascal Wehrlein to go up into P6. And you can see Marcus Ericsson riding on board, closing in on Kamiya Sato. He isn't too far away from him, 3 seconds is the gap. Probably say it's going to be around about half race distance for Takuma Sato to pit in if he is going on the one stop. He's continuing on. Takuma Sato started the race 12th on the grid. Oh, but he's coming to a slowdown. And Takuma Sato's time at the front is going to come to an end. A problem for the dome. And the Japanese pilot is out, and he's nearly taken the sack speed with him. Thankfully, he doesn't. He needs to get off the track this time, though. And nearly taken out other drivers as well. This is dangerous, really, from Sato. He pulls off now. It's a shame for the dome team, who are in need of a bounce back after their shocking performance in South Korea. With Takuma Sato out, Kamiya Sato going up into 8th place. It's the end of the road for his teammate. So at least that's one less thing for Ericsson to worry about. Because Sato looked like he was going to be doing a one-stop strategy. Whether that would have worked or not, we'll never know. So what you'll see now in terms of the race order is genuinely what you would expect it to be, as Lostwood dies to the inside of Rossi, and that's another change there, and a brilliant overtake from Andrea Lostwood, putting the Andrea Moda up into 3rd position. Is a podium coming in the way of their team manager Lucy Ball-Wood. They've not had too much luck so far this season. Just the 1 point thanks to the fastest lap that Jake Dennis had achieved in Malaysia. They've got nothing there in Yonggam. And now we watch the Zach speed of Sam Bird trying to get past Pascal Wehrlein now. Wehrlein's race isn't getting any better, in all honesty. And now Andrea Lotto is under threat from Rossi. These two are not leaving each other alone. They really want to be chasing down Lundgaard and Ericsson, but the more they battle, the more ground they lose with the top two. So it's Von Mattel leading Coloni, leading Andrea Moda, leading LaRousse, leading Von Mattel, leading for Sack Speed, leading Dome, leading Pacific, leading Force India. Those are in the top 10 places. And Sam Bird, is he going to get past Pascal Wehrlein this time? The answer is no. These two respect each other in Formula E. They've been around in the series for some time, most especially Sam Bird has been around in Formula E for all of its 9 seasons. He has recently confirmed he isn't staying with the Jaguar Formula E team. Whether he'll be signing for another team, that is anyone's guess. Lundgaard running in 2nd place. He'll be happy with this performance, will Gemma Dixon. Alguersuari still holds the fastest lap of the race, by the way, and has the point for pole position. So whatever happens, he won't be leaving this race empty-handed, but I'm sure he came to this race hoping for better than that. 22 laps done. Or 23 laps done, I should say. Ericsson continuing on. His gap over Lundgaard is 2.4 seconds. Bird line up a move on Wehrlein this time. He looks to be completely alongside this time, and I think this is going to be a change of position, and Bird goes past. So Sam Bird has got through on Wehrlein, and 6th position is his. Andrea Moda looking for their first podium in the Grand Prix World Series. They had a tough time of it last season with Lewis Bassendale as their manager. I think their best result came at the expense of Vincenzo Sospiri in Adelaide in that race of attrition. And that was in season 2, of course. It was a 5th place finish for Sospiri for Andrea Moda. That was their best result by far throughout the campaign. This season, in terms of the pace they've shown comprehensively, has been rather promising. Can Lotterer get the team's first ever Grand Prix World Series win at some point? If he does that, I think he'll become the first driver to have won a Grand Prix World Series race for 3 different teams. He did it for AGS in Marrakesh in season 1. He won out for BMS Scuderia Italia in Fuji in season 2. Could he do it for Andrea Moda here in Sentul today? And we'll go back on board with Lundgaard. 6 drivers out of the race so far: Takuma Sato, Jerome D'Ambrosio, Jake Dennis, Sebastian Loeb, Sergio Sette Camara and Alan McNish. I will remind you that Sebastian Loeb will be serving a 1-race ban at the next round in Fuji for causing the collision with Sergio Sette Camara, which saw the Brazilian retire in the process. Marcus Ericsson, who raced for Midland and Simtech in season 1. Just looking to see. Don't think he raced in season 2, unfortunately, for anyone. He was given a chance by Ewan Gale in the Formatel squad to show himself, or prove himself. And he's done a superlative job in terms of his pace so far this season. The team has still yet to pick up their first meaningful points. They picked up a point for pole position they got in Malaysia, but that's it so far. Now they need to rack up some results and push together a charge for promotion. The top 3 teams from League 2 at the end of the campaign will be promoted to League 1 for Season 4. And the bottom 3 teams in Season 1, sorry, in League 1 I should say, will be relegated to League 2 as a consequence. Ericsson having no such problems at the moment. We're coming up to around half race distance. And Brendan Hartley is trying to fend off the Force India of Jack Aiken. Aiken not able to find a way in front at the moment. He's at the inside this time into turn 3. And that is a change. And the Force India is in front of the Pacific now. 11 turns make up this 3.9 kilometre circuit in Sentul, located in Sentul City in Boga Regency, West Java, Indonesia. First opened in 1993, it currently plays host to the Indonesia Touring Car Championship. It has been the home of the MotoGP event, the Indonesian MotoGP event, 1996 and 1997. Played host to World Superbikes, Porsche Carrera Cup Asia, GP2 Asia came to this track in 2008, of which Bruno Senna holds the race lap record on this configuration. And not to mention A1GP raced here a couple of times. We'll talk of a revival of that championship, of which the former Alpine CEO Marcin Bikowski has been involved with. We are hoping for big news at some point in the near future in terms of A, is it going to happen? And B, where are they looking to go racing at? It'd be wonderful for A1GP to even just come back to Sentul if they wanted to. It'd be fantastic. And you can see Luciano Piquetta in the Carlin, just doing a little bit all squirrely through the S's. They're getting away with it. Piquetta, who has finished in the points in both of his 2 races so far. 8th in Malaysia and 10th in Yongan. Sits in 12th in the standings with 5 points. And I can tell you that Lucas Di Grassi and Jaime Alguersuari are beginning to close back in on the field a little bit more now. And the chances of points are still very much slim. So you can see your top 5 in your picture there on that back straight. And we go to the back of the field as Alguersuari is lining up a move on what looks like Lucas Di Grassi's diving to the inside. And that's an overtake in favour of the Spaniard. And he's got through and up into 19th. Next man ahead of him is Valentino Rossi in the Dams Viance, of which Jake Sanderson is in charge of. And Marcus Ericsson trying to keep his car on the circuit at the moment. 2.6 seconds it was at the end of the last lap over Lundgaard. There is Lotterer in P3. The German continuing, I should say, to stay in touch with the top 2. The first round of pit stops are done. And it won't be too long, I think, until we see the second round of pit stops. Although I don't know how much fuel each of the drivers have put in for their second stints. And there's the Dane, Christian Lundgaard, who not too long ago won his first IndyCar race recently. Thriving in that championship after a tricky couple of years in Formula 2. As part of the Alpine Academy as well. And see Aiken and Hartley battling for 9th. Nearly making contact, but both of them getting away with it. Back to Andre Lotterer again in P3 with the 2 LaRusses of Alexander Rossi and Callum Ilott right behind him. Through turns 8 and 9, 2 more corners to go before the end of the lap. So that's turns 6 and 7. They almost look identical, actually, those 2 chicanes, but I think the first chicane is actually a slower one compared to the second. Ericsson coming round to complete his 31st lap. 25 to go. And there is Oliver Turvey locking up into what looked like turn number 7. He seems to have got away with that one. Another tricky race so far for Ed Hunter's team. Conway in 13th. And Turvey further down the field. I think he's in 17th position is Turvey. He's definitely not in the top 15 anyway. So you can see Ericsson. There is Lundgaard, which the camera is focusing on. Lotterer in P3. The field's so close at the moment, and the pace they are showing is excellent. Exemplifying how competitive this championship really is. Anyone can really win. It's pretty much down to how talented the drivers are, as well as their age. There's Ericsson, there is Lundgaard. And we can see a change in position there. That's Eilert getting past Alexander Rossi, and that's 4th position going to him. Now we go back with Lundgaard. Gap between him and race leader Ericsson is 2.8 seconds. Now we'll be hoping to keep this up. Hoping to put the Von Mattel under pressure for when the pit stops do come around again. There's another lap completed. No change in the fastest lap at the moment. Jaime Alguersuari holds that. He's way back in 19th position. Von Mattel seemingly on course to get a good haul of points here. If they do that, they will move up from 1 point. Ericsson will get 25 for the win, and Verline, who's in 7th place, will get 6 points for finishing 7th. They'll get 31 points as a result and move on to 32. They'll move above Riel, Dems Vion, Carlin, Force India, and probably Dome as well, although Camille Sato is in 8th position, so I think Dome will actually stay in front of Von Mattel. But it's a big improvement for Von Mattel from what we've seen from them in the last couple of races, where reliability has hit them hard, more or less. The race is continuing to settle down, so it's a time for us. There's time for us to really think about where this leaves the championship at the moment. Brendan Hartley came into this round as the championship leader. I doubt he's going to be the leader by the end of this, although given where Calderon is at the moment, she's outside the points. Degrassi's outside the points. Takuma Sato is out. Takuma Sato is in 8th position. As we see Bird go off the track, and he's spun. Front wing damaged. What a shame there for the Saxpeeds driver. Both Saxpeeds in trouble in this one. Sam Bird off the track at turn 3. And he's lost that completely by himself into the gravel, bouncing through the gravel. Front wing disintegrating. And that destroys any hopes of a strong result for Saxpeed now. And now he's having to wait for the field to go through. And the team manager of the Saxpeed squad, Mike Smith, will not be too pleased with this one. Bird is back on track now, I believe. He'll be in the pits at the end of this lap. I mean, he's got a pit stop still to make as well, so this could well be his pit stop done now, but all hopes of a points finish are pretty much dashed, really. He's going to have to hope for misfortunes for others to really go his way, as Eilert comes into the pits, as is Pascal Wehrlein. So they will be hoping to complete an undercut on those in front. Hartley also coming in the Pacific. Fabio Lima also coming into the pits for his second stop. Theo Pourchaire as well. Eilert rejoins in 11th position. Wehrlein is behind Oliver Turvey. So Verlein's going to have to get past him very quickly. Bird also in the pits to get that front wing changed. think he'll probably go down a lap by the time Ericsson comes around, unless Ericsson comes into the pits, which he doesn't do. And there's an engine problem for the second down of Kamiya Sato. So it's going to be a double DNF for the team, their first in the Grand Prix World Series. So that's both of them out of the race now. And they are going to be leaving with absolutely nothing. And that's not a good sign for them before they turn up to the team's home events in Fuji. As Luciano Becchetta goes past. Whilst we see Christian Lundgaard continuing on behind Ericsson. And there's an overtake there. Is that Sam Bird unlapping Alexander Rossi by the looks of it? It looks like it, didn't it? They can't blame him for getting through there, as long as he's going quicker than the LaRousse. And then who can blame him? Alguersuari coming in for his final stop now. That's his third stop of the race. As Ericsson continues on, Alguersuari will go down a lap, but the leaders will be pitting in again very soon for their final stops. And Bird is now in front of Alguersuari. So at least those two have got something to fight for at the moment. And there is Alguersuari there, almost trying to get past the LaRousse of Rossi. Rossi is not liking being unlapped by these back markers, is he? But they're on much fresher tyres than he is. And they're not in inferior cars compared to what he is in. And so Alguersuari has unlapped himself from Alexander Rossi. So Rossi losing even more time in letting them pass. Andre Lotterer running in P3. Lucy Boldwood keeping her hopes up that he'll bring the car home to achieve Andrea Moda's first ever Grand Prix World Series podium, as Becchetta locks up into turn 6 and getting away with it. And the race leader is in, and so is Christian Lundgaard. Andre Lotterer will go into the lead for now. Alexander Rossi will go through into second place. Jack Aiken coming into the pits as well. So Ericsson rejoins in 4th position in front of Susie Wolff. Lundgaard has rejoined behind Wolff, which is not a good sign for him. He'll not be happy about that. I think there may have been... Was that a coming together involving... Well, Ericsson's rejoined the race in front of Wolff. Whereas Lundgaard... Oh dear! That's Conway! He's come together with Christian Lundgaard, who came out of the pits and flying up in the air has Conway. We're going to see another replay involving the Brit. Lundgaard rejoins the race, but he rejoins into the path of the Real. Now, surely the stewards are going to have to take a good look at that, because that looks really, really dangerous. Here we are on board with the Real. And Lundgaard just veering into the path of Conway. And Conway into the gravel. The front right tyre is off. And that is one of the Reals gone. Ed Hunter will not be a happy man. And we'll see what the stewards say on that. It's either going to be no further action, or it could well be a one-race ban and a disqualification for Christian Lundgaard. Let's see what the stewards say. And the verdict is... it's a one-race ban for Lundgaard and a disqualification from the race, whatever happens from here. So Lundgaard, whatever happens, is not going to be collecting any points. Disaster for Gemma Dixon. With Alguersuari being in the wars earlier on in the race, Lundgaard has been in trouble as well later on. And it doesn't look like either of the cars are going to be scoring points. As Alexander Rossi comes in for his final stop. Tatiana Calderon also coming in, so Susie Wolf will go up into second position for now, although I think her time is going to be very brief in that position because we've got the Von Mattel of Marcus Ericsson getting through. So Ericsson gets past. Piquetta comes in for his last stop. Lima making a move on Lucas Di Grassi to go up into 14th position. Calderon rejoins the race in 11th place. Di Grassi coming in for his last stop now too. So you can see Marcus Ericsson in P2 with Andre Lotterer still yet to come in for his last stop. I wonder if it will be at the end of this lap. Yes, it will be. Lotterer is in. And now we are seeing a battle between Teo Pourchaire, and in front of him is Luciano Piquetta, who's just pitted. Susie Wolf running in P3 on her return to the Grand Prix World Series, and she's coming in for her last stop, and she's looking good for a points finish here. What she may not know is that Christian Lundgaard is carrying a disqualification over him, which is subject to appeal, of course. And team manager Gemma Dixon will have the right to appeal. But if the appeal goes against her, the ban could be more severe for Christian Lundgaard. Marcus Armstrong's already been in trouble this season. He's already served his race ban but hasn't returned. And so with Christian Lundgaard sitting out in Fuji, it will probably give Marcus Armstrong another go in his seat instead of the one that he was in before, of which is occupied by Jaime Alguersuari. A game of musical chairs, if you want to call it that. So the order is this. Marcus Ericsson's in the race lead now after the stops have been completed, more or less. Christian Lundgaard is second on track, but will be disqualified from the event for the collision with Mike Conway. That is subject to appeal, as I've already mentioned. Andre Lotterer will then now be in second place. He's third on track, with Callum Ilott in fourth, technically third. And we've got Pascal Wehrlein, Alexander Rossi, Jack Aiken, Brendan Hartley, Tatiana Calderon. Fabio Lima is in 10th place now. He's on course for his first points in the Grand Prix World Series. And inherent in 10th place, should Lundgaard's disqualification stand, will be Susie Wolf. She's already scored points in the Grand Prix World Series before. Back in Season 1, she scored on her debut in Kyalami, the very first Grand Prix World Series race. But I don't think too much had gone right for her since then, really. She competed in 12 races, of course, before she was given a one-race ban by the stewards for collisions that she caused in Fuji, and was replaced by Antonio Felix da Costa within the team. And Alexander Rossi getting past Pascal Wehrlein to go up into 5th position. Wehrlein has been struggling in this race, really. And now we see Ericsson. It almost looked like he was about to run wide there, but hasn't done. We've got 14 laps to go then in the final quarter of this race. Ericsson looking on course to achieve his first ever victory in the Grand Prix World Series, and the first for Von Mattel. The Pacific team won out in Malaysia courtesy of Brendan Hartley. In Yongam, it was Tatiana Calderon for Morscov Lola. Marcus Ericsson and Von Mattel look to be the third different driver and team to take the top spot, proving that the Grand Prix World Series is the championship you need to be watching. And it is something worth sharing with your friends. It really is that compelling. And if you are interested actually in becoming a team manager in the Grand Prix World Series, whether that be later in the season or for Season 4, then do please get involved in the Retro Racing Managers League Discord server. And you can request your interest, or send in your interest in becoming a team manager in the Grand Prix World Series. See how it runs. And that looks like a problem for Lundgaard. And that is him out. So wherever he would have done, or wherever he would have been finishing, is hardly relevant now. And he is out of the race. It's a gearbox problem for the Dane. And he's out of the race here, and he's out of the race in Fuji next time out. So that promotes Andre Lotterer up to second place, Callum Ilott third, with Alexander Rossi in fourth position. To the Roosters in the top four now. Pascal Wehrlein is fifth. Jack Aiken is sixth for Force India. Seventh is Brendan Hartley. Tetsuya Nakano on eighth. Susie Wolff is up to ninth now. She's got in front of Fabio Lima, who's in the final points paying position in 10th. Outside the points are Luciano Bicetta, Teo Porcher, Oliver Turvey, Sam Bird, and Jaime Alguersuari. The gap between Ericsson and Lotterer is 7 seconds. As Pascal Wehrlein is about to be overtaken now by Jack Aiken. That's another car that's got by the Fonmetal. I'm actually surprised that Wehrlein's been off the pace today. And he's quite lucky to be far enough in front with the rest of the field, really, to be scoring points. But sure, I'd have expected more from him in this one. So we know Wehrlein's a very quick driver. It's demonstrated in the past. As Callum Ilott locks up, he doesn't go onto the grass, but he's lost time, and his teammate for sure is going to be closing on him. We're about to see the lock up again from the Brit. Goes in too deep, really. And Callum Ilott's place on the podium is under threat, it seems. Callum Ilott, who's already won in the Grand Prix World Series before. He won in Taupo last season, when Will Knight was in charge of the LaRue squad. Chris Hosey is now at the helms of the team. Will Knight moving on to BAR this season in League One, which you'll be able to watch later on. There's an off with Ilott. I can't believe it. He's off the track. He's hit the barrier. Is he out of the race? We don't know yet. It's down at turn 1 this time. Ilott, who had locked up at the chicane just now, has lost it all by himself, carrying far too much speed. The rear wheels lock in, and he's off big time. Now, can he get out of the gravel? Oh, he's going to lose a bundle of time here. Doing so well and then throwing it all away. There we go, and now there's more cars coming around, and Porsche will go through ahead of him here. Yeah, and there's more cars coming through because we've got Turvey and Bird and Alguersuari going past. And Callum Ilott has dropped all the way down to 15th place now. That promotes Alexander Rossi up into 3rd then. Jack Aiken up to 4th. Pascal Wehrlein 5th now. Hartley, Calderon, Wolff, Lima and Bicetta in the top 10. 2 Carlins in the points. That'll be a first for the team. Perry Brown is in charge of that squad. Making steady progress, it has to be said. I'm sure they'll have taken that at the beginning of the season. Showing that they can take the fight to those in League 2 this campaign. Now, Alexander Rossi just needs to make sure he keeps his nose clean from here on in. 9 drivers are out of the race so far. We've lost Christian Lundgaard, we've lost Mike Conway, we've lost Kimi Sato, we've also lost his Dome teammate Kimi Sato. Jake Dennis has already retired. We've lost the 2 Rams of Sebastian Loeb and Alan McNish. Sergio Sete Camera crashed out whilst tangling with Sebastian Loeb. And Jerome D'Ambrosio also retired. Those are the 9 drivers we've lost so far. Hoping we don't get any more. Got 9 laps to go in this. There's Rossi in P3. Alguersuari getting past Sam Bird up to 13th place. It was all looking good for Gemma Dixon in this one, and then it just really evaporated right in front of her eyes. And the only points that she's going to be getting from this are the pole position and fastest lap points from Alguersuari. Jack Aiken doing a terrific job for forcing me. I think this will equal his best ever result in the Grand Prix World Series. He came in mid-season in Season 2, did Aiken. He finished 4th on his debut, and that would have been in India. And he's chasing after Alexander Rossi for that final podium position. He's not got a lot of time to do it though. Going to have to hope that Rossi makes a mistake or something happens to Ericsson or Lotterer in the remaining laps. There's Ericsson. In the foreground is Lucas Di Grassi, who's in 17th and last position. And what the team managers won't forget is that although they may not be finishing in the points, some of them, you do finish the race, you do get prize money. And that could be all the more important when it comes to engine power or reliability. It could be the difference between scoring points and not in the coming races. And the upgrade window will open after this round. It will give the team managers an opportunity to improve and upgrade the cars, improving the brake horsepower and the reliability. Seven laps remaining. Marcus Ericsson not far away from victory, just around about 27 kilometres, which is around about 10 to 15 miles from home. It's over 15 miles, I should say. There is Alexander Rossi ahead of Jack Aiken. The gap is 3 seconds, or just over 3 seconds. I think they're just going to be settling for their positions now. They're not going to make too much of an effort to catch those in front. The 2 MasterCard lows are in 7th and 8th. This is a really positive sign, not just for the team, but for women in motorsport. It could even open up more opportunities for other female drivers to be included. Simona Di Silvestro, if I can get my words out, she competed for the team last season. We didn't see too much of her in terms of her excellence. There's still other drivers that could participate. Jamie Chadwick, I think, would be eligible. And there's even a thing going on, or a rumour going around, about how the Season 4 driver criteria could be made in comparison to what is current. Now, what the current criteria is any driver that's competed in an official test or competed in, or taken part in any form of F1 machinery would be eligible to race, albeit if it's in a test session or in a practice session or even competing in the Grand Prix. They would be eligible, whereas next season, any professional racing driver in a professional racing championship could compete in the Grand Prix World Series, which is most certainly going to open up a lot more options for the team managers in terms of who they could field in the Grand Prix World Series next season. Now, whether it be a Formula 1 driver, or an ex-Formula 1 driver I should say, because no current Formula 1 drivers are allowed to compete in this series, You could also see more of the likes of British Touring Car drivers, V8 Supercar drivers, IndyCar drivers, those competing in Formula 2 and Formula 3, Formula 4 even. You could see a lot of interesting names on the grid next season, that is a certainty. But I'd like to think that if your drivers are performing well for your team, why do you feel the need to change it? We've got the League One race to come later, so do not go anywhere if you are watching. It's been a really compelling race in the League 2 event here in Sentul that has put on an incredible show for its first ever Grand Prix World Series event. Well, Marcus Ericsson has crossed over the line to complete lap 52. He's now on lap 53. 4 laps remaining. Now we can see a battle going on further in front of him. That is what looks like Lucas Di Grassi trying to get past Valentino Rossi in the battle for 16th. And we're about to see the battle now as Rossi has just been overtaken by the Zach speed of Lucas Di Grassi. Both of the Zach speeds are at the back of the field now, given where they had started in this one. We're about to see a replay of Di Grassi getting the move done on the 7-time MotoGP champion Valentino Rossi. Marcus Ericsson's coming around to lap them in a moment. He's got a lead of 6 seconds, so there's no need for him to rush through those two, as Biquet is trying to get through on his teammate Fabio Lima. Now, so far this season, Fabio Lima has retired from both his in Sepang and Yongam. Biquet has finished in the points on both of those occasions. He's got through on his Swiss teammate. Biquet moving up into 9th position. Lima down to 10th place. I think Lima is fairly safe from Teo Porcher now. So it looks like both of the Carlins are going to be picking up points here today. Biquet scoring for the 3rd race in a row. Lucas Di Grassi is not going to be scoring points today, that's for certain now. Tatiana Calderon's continuing her consistent start to the season. She's in P7 behind Brendan Hartley. Now, all the drivers completed enough laps to be classified now, so team managers won't need to be worrying too much. As we can see, Alguersuari making a move on Oliver Turvey for 12th position with only a few laps to go. So that's another position gained for him. Next man over him is Teo Porcher. Ericsson crossing over the line now. 2 laps to go. Let's see whether Alguersuari can get past Porcher, and if he can, if someone drops out on the last lap, he could get back into the top 10, which would be some consolation for Gemma Dixon. Lotterer in P2, going through turn number 3. He's very close for his first podium of the season and the first for Andrea Moda, which will put a bright smile on the face of Lucy Ballwood. Could this be in the upturn in fortune for her? Kickstart her season. It will come at a convenient time with the upgrade window beckoning, which will give her the opportunity to place where she wants her prize money to be in the basket of, whether it's reliability or engine brake horsepower. Just seen Sam Berg get past his compatriot Oliver Turvey to go up into 13th place. And Riel's race isn't getting any better by the looks of it. There's Alexander Rossi in 3rd place. We're on the final lap here in Sentul. And Marcus Ericsson is less than 4 kilometres away from the checkered flag now. It's been a commanding race. Took over the lead when Pascal Wehrlein had dropped back. He's still going to finish as well as Pascal Wehrlein, albeit over 23 seconds behind. The rider on board there looks like the Andrea Moda of Andrea Lotterer. We need to be going to the race leader, Marcus Ericsson. And here he is in your picture, who's just lapped the Dans Vion of Valentino Rossi. Well, it's been an unbelievable performance from the Von Mittelman team today. And what a job Marcus Ericsson has done throughout the event here in Sentul. The team are showing their class today, proving why they belong in the Grand Prix World Series. Marcus Ericsson can call himself a Grand Prix World Series winner. He wins the League 2 race. He wins the Sentul Grand Prix. A great result for him, and a great result for the Andrea Moda team. Andre Lotterer coming home in 2nd place. Alexander Rossi on the podium for Larousse, and Jack Aiken in 4th place for Force India. What a great job for them. Pascal Wehrlein making it 2 Von Mittels in the top 5, with Brendan Hartley in 6th position for Pacific. And next behind, we're going to see the race winner of Yongam a few weeks ago, Tatiana Calderon in 7th, and Susie Wolf on her return to the GPWS in 8th place. And we've got the 2 Carlins of Luciano Becchetta and Fabio Lima in 9th and 10th. Teo Porcher should hold off Lucas Di Grassi for 11th. Not Lucas Di Grassi, Jaime Alguersuari, I should say, in 11th. Alguersuari 12th, Bird 13th, Oliver Turvey 14th, Callum Isler in 15th place. And then it should be Lucas Di Grassi in 16th position, and Valentino Rossi down the lap in 17th place. But there is your race winner. It is Marcus Ericsson in the Von Mittel here in Sentul. What a race from him. Andrea Lotterer coming home in 2nd place for Andrea Moda. Then it's Alexander Rossi in 3rd, Jack Aiken 4th with Pascal Wehrlein 5th. Then it's Brendan Hartley, Tatiana Calderon, Susie Wolf, Luciano Becchetta and Fabio Lima running out the top 10. Teo Porcher was 11th, followed by Jaime Alguersuari, Sam Bird and Oliver Turvey in 12th, 13th and 14th places. In 15th position, that would be not Oliver Turvey, Callum Isler, that is. Lucas Di Grassi 16th and Valentino Rossi the last finisher in 17th. Christian Lagarde retired and carrying a race ban. Mike Conway out, as is Kimi Sato and Jerome D'Ambrosio. Jake Dennis also retired. Sebastian Loeb carrying a race ban also. Sergio Sete Camara and Alan McNish were the remaining drivers to not finish the race. Jaime Alguersuari got the points for the fastest lap and pole position earlier on. And we saw a brilliant first race in the Grand Prix World Series in Sentul. We are hoping that the second one will be even better.
Well, what a race that was. A first ever win in the Grand Prix World Series for Von Mittel at the hands of Marcus Ericsson. A great result for him. And that has elevated him up into 4th place in the standings. Brendan Hartley still leads the way on 51 points ahead of Tatiana Calderon on 42. Lucas Di Grassi holds on to 3 ahead of our newest race winner Marcus Ericsson 4th on 26. Alexander Rossi is 5th in the Larousse on 21 ahead of Takuma Sato and Andre Lotterer, both tied on 18 points. Jack Aitken and Jaime Alguersuari are 8th and 9th with 14 apiece, and Kimi Sato holding on to his place in the top 10. 2 diamonds in the top 10 there. Good start to the season for the Japanese outfit. And in the team standings, Pacific Grand Prix 9 points ahead of Mastercard Lola, with Zach Speed on 38, Von Mittel on 36, Dome on 31, and then Scuderia Coloni, Larousse, Force India, Andrea Moda and Carlin round out the top 10. And now we move on to League 1, the main event here today in Sentul. And heading into this race, Scott Dixon and Antonio Felix da Costa tied at the top of the point standings, 27 each. They both got themselves a win, a pole and a fastest lap. Nothing to separate those two as we head into round 3. Paul Di Resta is 3rd on 25 points ahead of Will Power on 18, who is equal on points with his Leighton House teammate Helio Castro Neves. Danny Junkandea on 15 in the Arrows, ahead of Sean Galale, Robin Freund and Pato Ward, all on 12 points each, and Kazuki Nakajima rounding out the top 10 with 10 points to his name in the Onyx. And in the team standings, Super Guri lead the way on 37. This is really close between the top 4 at the moment. Super Guri on 37, Leighton House on 36, Minardi on 35 and Simtek on 33. That could all change by the end of this race here today. Arrows are on 27, BAR on 13, Onyx on 11, HRT on 6, 40 Corsi also on 6, and Millen Racing in 10th place with 2 points to their name. Can they add to that tally today? We will see. And we have 3 driver changes to bring you for this race today. The first of which is at AGS. Tom Cruise, Lewis Bassendale has decided that enough is enough for the American Hollywood actor, and he has been dropped down to the reserve role with Alex Palou, who is on course for a second IndyCar title, now stepping up for his debut in the Grand Prix World Series. How will he fare against his more experienced teammate Colton Herta? I recognise he'll be quite evenly matched, actually. Heading on to Minardi, Nick de Vries has been given an opportunity to return to the Grand Prix World Series in place of Jean-Eric Vergne, our Season 1 champion. Vergne not too happy with the decision, but Giacomo Pagliaro taken a decision to give de Vries a chance back in the Grand Prix World Series, and he will want to make the most of this opportunity. But now here is the big news. Will Power at the Leighton House team has been given a 2-race ban. Separate instance last time out in Yongam meant that he picked up 2 races worth of a ban, and he will now sit out today's race in Sentul as well as Fuji next time. And he has been replaced by Sebastian Buemi, who's been out of the Grand Prix World Series for a while, and Chris Cavney making a decision to bring him back in and give him an opportunity to show what he can do in this championship. And looking at the grid, once again, it's a very closely fought qualifying session for today's race. Helio Castroneves in the Leighton House puts it on pole for the first time this season, 12 thousandths of a second ahead of our championship contender Antonio Felix da Costa in the Minardi. Sebastian Buemi on his return to the Grand Prix World Series puts both Leighton Houses in the top 3. A great effort by him, first time back in a car, ahead of Scott Dixon, our other championship leader in the Simtek, who is equal on time with Sebastian Bourdais, both of them just over 0.2 of a second away from Castroneves' time. Stoffel Van Dorn is 6th in the other Simtek, ahead of Roman Grosjean and Danny Junkendaya. Nick de Vries on his return puts his Minardi 9th ahead of Kamui Kobayashi, 10th in the Manor, 0.4 of a second away from Castroneves. Like I said, it's very close once again here. Marco Wittmann returning to the championship after his 1-race ban puts the Prost 11th on the grid ahead of Adrian Sutil. Pascal Ward 13th in the Arrows ahead of Colton Herta and Alex Palou. He will start 15th on his debut, less a 10th of a second away from his teammate. A great effort by Palou, first time out here in Sentul. Alex Lynn 16th in the HRT ahead of Artem Markelov, Paul Di Resta, Kazuki Nakajima and Roy Nassani, the first of the 40 Corsis, in 20th position. Sean Galayle 21st ahead of Mahavir Raghunathan. Robin Freins, he'll be very disappointed with that, down in 23rd in Super Guri, 0.8 of a second behind pole time, but much the same as in the League 2 race. If you make one mistake in qualifying, that could put you right near the back of the grid. Nicholas Ativi 24th, ahead of both in the Midlands of Juan Manuel Correa and Marino Sato. Sato, the only driver outside of 1 second of the pole time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing left to do. We have one more fantastic race left to run, so back down to Tom Cairns.
What a race it was in League 2. Can the League 1 race live up to expectations here? Helio Castroneves on pole position with Antonio Felix da Costa, the race winner of Yongam in League 1, in second place. The 5 red lights are coming on now. When the extinguished will be racing here in Sentul. Lights out, and away we go, and the cars move off the line, and da Costa is mostly straight in front of Castroneves. Had an absolutely terrible start and is falling well behind his teammate, Buemi, who's just got by, and Antonio Felix da Costa has sprinted ahead of the pack, and he is going to be leading coming out of turn 2 as we watch Kamui Kobayashi under threat from what looks like Stoffel Van Dorn, who's trying to get through, as is the Minardi of Nick de Vries, who's got past. And Kobayashi has dropped back from his starting position by the looks of it. But there's contact, and that's the rear wing gone on the home hero, Sean Galayle. And who's that ran into him? It looks like a Midland that ran into the BAR. And it was a Midland. And it was Marino Sato that ran into him, unfortunately. So he could be following the wrath of the stewards. But I think the saving grace for him is that Sean Galayle has not retired on the spot as a result of it. But given the severity of the damage, the stewards may have something to say on that. Let's see what they say on that, because they usually come out with their verdicts very quickly. It's a 30-second time penalty for Rino Sato, and it's the back of the grid for the next round in Fuji. Not good news for him. Not good news for the team. It is subject to appeal after all, but I doubt that penalty is going to be removed later. Felix da Costa in the race lead then, with Helio Castroneves in second place. It's Scott Dixon in third place, ahead of the replacement for Will Power for the next couple of races, Sebastian Buemi, who was drafted in last minute as the team's reserve, now filling in for the suspended Will Power in fourth position. It's Romain Grosjean fifth, Stoffel Van Dorn in sixth place, and it's Sebastian Bourdais, Nick de Vries, Kamui Kobayashi and Adrian Sutil rounding out the top 10. And Dixon under threat there from Buemi. We can also see a move by the looks of it. Was that Stoffel Van Dorn getting through? We couldn't quite tell from that angle. By the way, Van Dorn is through on Grosjean, is up into fifth place. And Buemi up the inside of Dixon into turn 3, and he's got through on the Kiwi. So the reigning world champion falling back as da Costa continues on at the head of the pack. Can you make it 2 wins in a row in League One and throw Minardi into genuine championship contention after this round, given the upgrade window we've got on after this race? So there's Buemi in P3, doing a fine job so far. He raced for BAR last season. Race for BAR last season, did Sebastian Buemi. I think he won out in... Was it Imola in Season 2 that he won out in? Just trying to remember that off by heart in terms of what happened involving him, because he did do a full season. I think he did win out in Imola on that occasion for BAR, if I remember rightly. But either way, he's doing a great job for the Leighton House team. And we see a move there. Was that Stoffel Van Dorn getting past Scott Dixon into turn 3? It looks like it. And he's gone through up into fourth position as Van Dorn. Now Scott Dixon, who had an absolute nightmare of a race in Yongam, got taken out by Will Power. He's hoping to bounce back here. But da Costa has been excellent so far. Brilliant in the last couple of races. In 10th position now is Danny Yonkindeo, because Kobayashi has fallen out of the points. And whilst I mentioned Sebastian Buemi filling in for Will Power, there's also a couple of changes in the field, with a change at AGS. Sebastian Bourdais getting through on Scott Dixon now. Scott Dixon's continuing to fall back here as Bourdais gets through. Now the driver who was in the AGS before he was dropped was Tom Cruise, but he's been replaced by Alex Palou, the championship leader in IndyCar, of course IndyCar champion of 2021. Yonkindeo trying to get past Adrian Sutil, Yonkindeo who achieved his first podium in the Grand Prix World Series. Sorry, that's not Danny Yonkindeo, that is actually Pato Ward, who's been overtaken by Marco Wittmann. And that looks like an engine failure there. That's Marino Sato. So the man that hit Sean Galale earlier on is not going to be finishing the race anyway. So he becomes the first retirement of the race. Now 9 drivers failed to finish the League 2 event earlier on today. And I wonder how many we're going to get here this time. So Selling Felix da Costa completing lap 4, and with the new fastest lap of the race, as Dixon's lost another place also to de Vries, and he's trying to get back through on him again, and goes through into 6th position. Dixon not quite showing the pace that we thought we would be seeing from him. We didn't see it in Yongam, and we haven't exactly seen it so far here in Sentul as much as we were expecting him to. Because he's usually the fastest man in the field is Dixon, but so far this season it doesn't look like he is. At least the team manager of the Leighton House team, Chris Cavaney, can watch on in happiness here to see Castroneves and Buemi running up in second and third places. Stoff Van Dorn is fourth for Simtek, then Sebastian Bourdais in fifth for Onyx. Scott Dixon is sixth in the Simtek. Then it's Nick de Vries on his return to the Grand Prix World Series. He wasn't eligible at the beginning of the season because of him being involved in Formula 1, but now that he's no longer in Formula 1, he's now eligible again to compete in the Grand Prix World Series. Adrian Sutil is 8th, Roman Grosjean 9th, and Denny Unkandea in the Arrows in 10th position. Colton Herter is 11th for Aegis. There's Kamui Kobayashi is trying to get through on him in the manner in 12th. Alex Lynn is 13th for HRT. Marco Wittmann is 14th in the Prost. And Pato Award in the second Arrows is in 15th place. There's Castroneves. He's hoping to make it 3 podiums from 3 for Leighton House. Will Power got the first one in Sepang. Castroneves got the second in Yongam. Latifi diving to the inside there. That's the 40 he's got past. And that will be Roy Nissany. We saw an engine failure up front. Who is that? That's blown up. I couldn't quite tell who that is. Is that Adrian Sutil who's got a problem? It looks like it is. The HRT up in smoke. So that's another race to forget for Adrian Sutil. He showed good pace in Yongam before retiring, and it's happening here again. He just needs to make sure he does not become a smokescreen to the other drivers, and it almost looks like he is though. So he needs to pull up, he needs to be very careful, don't rejoin back onto the racing line. He's taken out the 40, would you believe it? Adrian Sutil will be in trouble for that because he didn't get off the track soon enough, and he's been hit from Nissany, who was trying to get through ahead of him. He just couldn't react in time and ran into the HRT, and the Super Aguri's off the track as he tried to avoid it. That will be what looked like, is that Robin Fines that has spun off the track there? Or was that Paul Di Resta? I think it might be Paul Di Resta actually. Nissany loses his front wing, and Di Resta ends up trying to take evasive action and spinning into the gravel. Well, that's one car that Michael Gillespie won't be too happy of seeing being in the gravel. So Di Resta spinning around, and I just hope he's able to get out of there. Adrian Sutil we know won't be going back on track because he's out of the race with his engine problem. And I'll be interested to know. Oh, that's an accident. What exactly has happened there? Roy Nissany, in the middle of the road, has come together with someone. He's been hit by the other Super Aguri. That looks like Robin Fines. Now I'm interested to see what exactly happened in that. Was it the Super Aguri or was it the Midland? No, it's the Super Aguri as I first thought. That was the other one of Robin Fines. He's run into him. Now let's see. Yeah, I think Robin Fines just didn't quite read into that and just ran into the 40. Although Nissany was carrying a broken front wing, his car is terminally wrecked. He is out. Di Resta is able to continue. And what is the steward's verdict going to be on this, I wonder? Well, to be fair, it was Sutil that kick-started all of that. And we'll hear what the stewards say. And it's dangerous driving by Roy Nissany, and he'll be starting the next race from the back of the grid. So it's not a race ban for Nissany. He'll be starting at the back. I didn't quite pick up on anything in relation to Adrian Sutil. But my guess would be that he's got away with that. So Sebastian Buemi running in third place as Alex Palou is trying to get past what looks like the arrows of Pato Award. So it's been a messy race so far for some of the drivers. Not so for the leaders. As Kobayashi gets overtaken by Marco Wittmann now. And so Mano are not exactly having the best of races today. Grosjean in 8th, Kobayashi down to 13th now. Even with all the drama going on. And that looks like Da Costa in trouble. That's the race leader. Unbelievable luck. Antonio Felix Da Costa is out of the race in the Minardi. What rotten luck for team manager Giacomo Pagliaro. The field are trying to dodge round him. I just hope he gets off the track soon enough. Because Adrian Sutil didn't do so moments ago. Yeah, and that's a suspension problem for the Minardi. Not for the first time this season. So Da Costa is out on lap number 9. He currently holds the fastest lap. So should he keep hold of that, then a championship point will go in the way for him. But that's little consolation now. And Robin Freins is in trouble in the Super Aguri. And he's gone too. So the cars are beginning to fall out now. Or beginning to drop out like flies a little bit here. Freins out. Da Costa out. Nissany out. Sutil is out. And Marino Salto is out. 5 have been eliminated so far in this race. It's now a Leighton House 1 and 2. Now the last team to achieve a 1-2 finish in League 1 in the Grand Prix World Series. We'll come back to that in a moment. It looks like Sebastian Rainey is trying to get through on his teammate. They are allowed to fight, these two. Chris Cavani doesn't mind this, I would have thought. But as long as they don't take each other out, then nothing else matters for the team. As Buemi gets past Casneves and goes into the lead. So the lead changes twice in a space of just over a lap. Casneves in second place now. At least he can just keep up with his teammate without fighting with him too much. Going back to what I was saying, the last team to achieve a 1-2 finish in a League 1 event in the Grand Prix World Series. We never had one in Season 1. I know that for a fact. I don't think we had one in Season 2 either in League 1. So having to resort to what happened in League 2, rather. And Leighton House achieved that last season in round 8, which will have been in Istanbul. And also in round 14 in Brno. So Leighton House have already finished 1 and 2 on a couple of occasions in League 2 last season in their promotion campaign. Could well achieve that feat for a third time and a first in League 1. In terms of other teams finishing 1 and 2, as we watch Kamui Kobayashi getting past Alex Palou up into 13th position again. Nicholas Latifi making a move on what looks like the Onyx of... Is that an Onyx or is that a Prost? I think that might be a Prost actually. If so, that will be Artem Markelov he's got through. It's Sebastian Buemi in the lead. And Buemi, who's already a race winner in the Grand Prix World Series at Imola for BAR in Season 2. Can he become a race winner in a substitute drive for Will Power? I think De Vries has just been overtaken by Romain Grosjean into turn 1. Grosjean going up into 6th position. And as we see Nicholas Latifi trying to hold off the Prost behind. There's Wittmann getting through on Alex Lynn now and putting himself up into the top 10. So Prost beginning to come alive in this race. They've yet to score a point so far this season. And riding on board here, looks like, is that the Simtech of Stoffel Van Dorn in picture? That's Alex Lynn off the track. He's lost his front wing there as Lynn. Now who is he come together? Oh, it's a loose wheel. I think the front wing came off as he went onto the grass. So Lynn is out. He joins his teammate Adrian Susil on the sidelines. It's not been a good race for them, unfortunately. It's a day to forget for John Munro. Lynn, who had been in the wars with Will Power in the last race. It's been a race to forget for the team here in Sentul. Sebastian Bourdais in third position in the Onyx. The team didn't pick up anything last time out in Yongan, both cars retiring. There was another overtake being done there, and Artur Malkov has got through. And it looks like the BAR of Nicholas Latifi. He's gone up into 15th position, so Prosser very much coming into play here. And Wittmann's beginning to pull away from O'Ward and catching Colton Herter. There's Kashneves in P2. As the top two go through turns 1 and 2. Buemi 1.3 seconds clear of his Brazilian teammate Kashneves, who's a 4-time Indy 500 winner. The most recent triumph coming in 2021. Buemi thinking about when to pit. Don't know who will be on the 1 stop and who will be on the 2. It's quite a quick pit lane here in Sentul compared to a lot of the other circuits, that they may give the drivers some options, as Bourdais looks to hold off the 2 Simtex of Van Dorn and Dixon, and Kashneves is in for his first stop. Who else is going to be coming in at the end of this lap? We don't know for certain yet. And imagine he'll come out outside the top 15, maybe. Patrick O'Ward coming into the pits at the same time. Smasparimi continuing on. And Kashneves is rejoining 16th. Ahead of Paul de Resta. Alex Palou came into the pits as well. And you can see a move there from Mahathir Raghunathan. And that's a move up the inside. I think that was the BAR of Nicholas Latifi who's got through. Juan Manuel Correa, who's back after serving a 1-race ban for his shenanigans in Malaysia. In the sole surviving Midland. In 15th place. Now, Simseko won the Drivers' Championship last season with Scott Dixon. Super Aguri won the Teams' Championship. Sebastian Bourdais coming into the pits from 2nd place in the Onyx. De Vries coming in at the same time in the only Minardi in the running. Now you can see Grosjean there, and we can see Galeao coming out of the pits. Oh, I think Grosjean was trying to lap Galeao, I should say. You can see Van Dorn in 2nd place now on track, ahead of Dixon. Now it's Simtek. I think still ahead in the Teams Championship going into this race. No, they're not. They are They're in 4th position on 33 points. Super Aguri are top with 37. Leighton House in 2nd with 36. Minardi in 3rd with 35. And Sinsek in 4th with 33. I think that's going to radically change around after this one because the Super Aguris have been well off the pace today. Frying's already out and Duressa nowhere near the points. Sebastian Buemi's come into the pits from the race lead. Has Castroneves done enough to get in front of him here? My guess will be yes, but you never know. Depends how much Castroneves has been stuck in traffic. Marco Wittmann coming in. Kobayashi as well, Nakajima, Latifi and Correa. And Buemi has got out. Is he in front of Castroneves? I think he is. So Buemi keeping hold of the net race lead. Simsek 1 and 2 now. There's Galeo who's trying to make up for lost time, but he's having to get out of the way of cars who are lapping him. It's not been a good day for BAR so far here. And Dixon will take over the lead because Van Dorn has come into the pits at the end of lap 17. What can Dixon do from here? Well, I can tell you that Grosjean, Junkendaya and Herta are in the pits. So you could well see Markelov move up a position, but no, he's come into the pits as well. Gunnifan also. So that moves Buemi back up into 2nd place. Castroneves will go up into 3rd. And in 4th position is Van Dorn now. He's rejoining 4th place, so he's got some clear track ahead of him. So should pretty much stay in front of Dixon once Dixon comes in for his stop, unless the Kiwi is going to be completing a one-stop race. Now, Wittmann, who's behind Herta in the battle for 9th. Can't quite get in front of him here. It's been a spirited race for Wittmann so far. The team are in need of some points here as Dixon comes in for his first of 2 stops. At least Galeo can get back on the lead lap. And Buemi can go back into the race lead on merit. So Buemi coming through. Castroneves in 3rd place. Oh, in 2nd now. As Dixon exits the pits. And he is in front of Bourdais and Van Dorn. And only just. But for how long? Because Bourdais and Van Dorn have got their tyres up to temperature. And I think Bourdais is going to get in front of Dixon here, if he's clever. But Van Dorn is up the inside of Bourdais. And he's got up into 4th position instead. So Bourdais didn't quite get alongside Dixon by going down the inside into turn 3. And Van Dorn has got himself up into 4th place there. Dixon is in front now of Van Dorn and Bourdais. So it's been a rather recovery drive from Dixon so far in this one, getting back up into a podium position, which is where he should be. It's a Leighton House 1 and 2, Simtek 3 and 4. Sebastian Bourdais in the Onyx in 5th. We've got Nick de Vries in the Menard in 6th. It's the Arrows of Danny Junkendaya in 7th. Roman Grosjean's Mano in 8th. Colton Herta's AGS in 9th. And Marco Wittmann's Prost in 10th. Although I think Wittmann's about to complete an overtake on Herta in a minute. Because he was only a couple of tenths behind the American in the last sector. As we see Buemi locking up there, which is not a good sign, but luckily he keeps his car on the track. Yeah, he just slid through the corner really, but got away with it. There's Castroneves. see Wittmann. Harrison Herter once again. Can he move up into 9th place here? He's right up his gearbox. And we've cut away from him there. Buemi carrying on for now. And Markelov is under threat from Kazuki Nakajima, who makes a move up the inside of the Russian. And he's gone through into 14th position. Markelov, the Formula 2 runner-up of 2017, has dropped down to 15th place in the Prost. Here's Correa. Here's Castroneves in 2nd place, 4.7 seconds behind his teammate Sebastian Buemi, as we see Markelov trying to fend off the BAR and the 40. It's been quite a nip and tuck battle going on between those particular group of drivers outside the points. And we are seeing Alex Palou about to be overtaken here. I think he's got a problem actually as Palou, because you don't expect cars to overtake. Oh no! He's been hit by Nicholas Latifi. Palou punted off the circuit and he is out of the race. So we're going to see a replay now of Latifi going for the move. It's just poor driving from Latifi. It just didn't stick to his line on the inside and just inadvertently took Palou out in the process. So here we go. Yeah, Palou off the circuit. The left front has gone, and so the AGS driver is out of the race. And I wonder what the stewards will say afterwards about that, unfortunately. The fact that he's taken him out there, that could result in a one-race ban for Latifi for the next race in Fuji. Is that what the stewards are going to say on that? Just waiting for Palou's car to be pulled off the track here. There he goes, up on the crane and out of the way. And so Castroneves continues on, and Latifi has received the inevitable. It's a one-race ban for the Canadian, so he will be out of the next race in Fuji. That's another driver banned for the next round. So we know we're losing Will Power because of his shenanigans in Youngam last time out. And we've lost Nicholas Latifi for the next round at the same time, and AGS's race is getting worse because Marco Wittmann has got through on Colton Herter. And he's gone up into 9th place now. Now the reserve driver at BAR. As we see Scott Dixon go off the track this time. That will cost him 3rd place to Van Dorn. And Bourdais should get through also. Now how has he managed to do that? Has he just carried too much speed into the corner? Because it looks like he has done. Yeah, he's gone off the track by a long way. So Scott Dixon have to wait for a lot of the field to go through now. This is the problem when there's a whole gag of cars together, and Dixon's just going to have to wait for a long time to get back on track. And this is the punishment really for waiting so long in the gravel. He's back on track now and he's down to 18th place. Buemi in P1. Continuing on. And on that 24, it's looking very good for the Leighton House team. Not quite so much now for Simtech, with Dixon well and truly down the order. And what I was going to go to say about BAR is that with Nicholas Latifi not being able to participate in Fuji, the team's reserve driver is Antonio Giovinazzi, who's never raced in the Grand Prix World Series before, as Wittmann has got back through on Herta again, and it's for 8th place this time because they've both got through on Dixon on the previous lap. And Wittmann stay in front this time and make it stick. See Castroneves trying to keep in touch with Boeing, but the gap is now 6.6 seconds. Make that 6.7. Castroneves is continuing to lose ground on the Swiss driver. It's Van Dorn in P3 in the Simtech, carrying the team's hopes on a strong result here. Both of the Arrows drivers of Junkendaya and O'Ward are in the top 10 now. And now Junkendaya goes off the track. Can he get back on it? He's done exactly the same thing as what Scott Dixon did earlier and just carried far too much speed into turn 3. Hope he's able to get out of the gravel this time. And going back to what I was saying about Latifi, he will be excluded from the race result whatever happens from here on in. Struggling to get out of that goal chat. Well, Dixon's gone through already ahead of him. Sean Galea will get through also, I think. I don't know if Junkendaya is going to be able to get out of the gravel trap here, to be honest with you. This is not going to please Topher Smith by any means. And Junkendaya is down a lap now on the leader, Sebastian Buemi. Castroneves has gone through as well. Junkendaya is back on track now. And his chances of points are out of the window now. Castroneves in second place. The gap is now 7.4 seconds. So Junkendaya's demise has promoted Marco Wittmann up to 7th, Pato O'Ward 8th. Colton Herta is 9th after being overtaken by O'Ward. Into the top 10 is Kamui Kobayashi, which is going to get through on Herta now to put his arrows up into 9th place. So Sam Hall is beginning to relish the chance of scoring points here today. He didn't score any points in any of the opening couple of races in Sepang and Yongam. He's hoping to end the drought here in Sentul. .6 seconds is the gap between race leader Buemi and second place Castroneves, and it's increased even more through sector 1. As we see Correa locking up into turn 1 but keeping it on the track. So Leighton House 1 and 2. Reigning League 2 champions. Will Power claiming the League 2 Drivers' Championship. He's not here today, of course, because of his 2-race ban for the collisions he caused with Alex Lynn and Scott Dixon in Yongam last time out. 8 seconds is the gap now. Buemi's absolutely fine, and Castroneves, he's not falling back into the clutches of Van Dorn, but he's falling out of range with Buemi. I think he's just pretty much accepting second place unless something does happen to his teammate. And Scott Dixon making a move on the Super Aguri of Paul di Resta. And that's him going up into 16th position, making up for lost time. I don't know whether Dixon will actually get back into the points. We'll have to hope his rivals crumble later on. Daya locks up into turn number 7. It keeps going. Van Dorn in 3rd place. Just needs to focus on keeping his car on the circuit. Sebastian Bourdais isn't too far behind him. He's less than 3 seconds back. I think Bourdais has come into the pits, and I'm not sure exactly why. It's a very early time to make for a pit stop, unless that's a one-stop strategy for Bourdais. So Bourdais into the pits, and I imagine he'll go to the end of the race now on that. As Boehm is trying to lap Sean Galley out here. He's got through, no problem. So Scott Dixon moves up to 15th place. Next man ahead of him is Juan Manuel Correa. Scott Burton makes a move. Is that Kobayashi in front of him? It is, but he hasn't got in front of him. Marco Wittmann is running up there in 6th place now because of Bourdais coming into the pits. Bourdais outside the top 15 now after his stop. This has been a splendid drive from Sebastian Buemi in this race, in a brilliant way to announce his return. Hadn't even been considered for a full-time drive or even as a reserve drive by anyone until recently, as Colton Herta gets past Kamui Kobayashi. He's showing his class here and showing why he belongs in this series. There's Castroneves in 2nd place. Kazuki Nakajima gets past Kamui Kobayashi, his compatriot. And behind Kobayashi is Artem Markelov. There's Van Dorn in P3. And in front of him is the Arrows of Daniel Gundaya, who is a lapped car. And Van Dorn is not able to do much at the moment from where he's sitting. Markov is trying to get through on Kobayashi now to move up into the points. Does he do it here? Not on this occasion. And Raghunathan is trying to make amends by trying to get his 40 up into the points. I don't think 40 have had too much to celebrate so far this season. Although they did get an 8th and 9th place finish in Malaysia, they're on 6 points at the moment. The 3 teams in the relegation zone coming into today were AGS, Prost and Manor. And neither of those 3 have scored points so far this season. Although that could change today with Wittmann in 6th for Prost, Herta in 8th for AGS. And Manor, we've got both cars in the points with Grosjean 5th and Kobayashi in 10th. And as it stands, that will push. Well, Midland will be pushed into the drop zone, that's for certain. I think AGS will still be in there. And 40 and HRT are going to be dragged into there too. So it's going to change quite a bit, the constructors table after this race. 7 drivers are out of the race so far. Alex Palou, Alex Lynn, Robin Frines, Antonio Felix da Costa, Roy Nissany, Adrian Sutil and Marino Sarto. Nicholas Latifi, who was responsible for the collision with Alex Palou earlier, will be excluded from the race results whatever happens. The gap between Buemi and Castroneves is nearly 10 seconds now. The second round of pit stops to come in this race, which is rather unusual nowadays in the Grand Prix World Series. We either usually see normally the 1 round of pit stops for those doing the 1 stops, and those that may be doing the 2 stop strategies. It's usually split, but today it seems like virtually everyone is doing 2 stops, and that's Kazuki Nakajima getting past Colton Herter and going up into 8th position. Markov now is right behind Kobayashi. This will be an important move actually for Markov, because was it maybe 1 point more? It's 1 point less for the Manor team, and they're both down there at the bottom end of the team's championship, which is not where they want to be doing. And Van Dorn trying to lap Junkendaya as Dixon gets through on Correa, and that's 14th place going to the Kiwi. Buemi continuing on. And Van Dorn finally lapping Junkendaya. The Belgian getting through. Formula E champion of 2022. Stoffel Van Dorn with the Mercedes EQ squad before moving to the DS Penske team after Mercedes pulled out of Formula E at the end of season 8. And of course, he's a reserve driver, and just seen that Junkendaya has unlapped himself from Van Dorn, which is interesting. He is allowed to do that, of course, although Van Dorn won't exactly be pleased with that. Stoffel Van Dorn, who of course is the reserve driver, or one of the reserve drivers within Mercedes powered teams, you have to say, of Mercedes and Aston Martin. It's uncertain as to whether he'll get his chance soon in Formula 1. Certainly not a full-time driver, I wouldn't have thought, but in case he's absolutely needed when he hasn't got any other commitments going on the motorsport side of things, he may well get another go at it. 2 years at McLaren did Van Dorn in 2017 and 18. Gets up at the inside of Junkendaya, and he'll be hoping he'll be staying in front of him for the foreseeable future. Here is Buemi in P1. Could this give Chris Cavani some form of problem here in terms of which drivers he wants to be putting in his lineup for the coming races? Now, Buemi, I would have thought it will be in the car again for Fuji, because Power will still be serving his ban. And should Buemi excel in Fuji as he is doing so here in Sentul, well, could he be the one in the seat for the next, for the remainder of the season? I think it just depends really what happens with him and Castroneves, because I'd have thought willpower will be needed again at some point. And who knows, once willpower comes back in, he could all of a sudden become a contender for the championship, should he start putting together some run of form. Buemi continuing on in the race lead. De Vries and Grosjean come into the pits from 4th and 5th. And Kazuki Nakajima is in the pits also in the Onyx. Grosjean rejoins in 14th position, De Vries in 15th place. Both looking good for their first points of the season. And Buemi in the pits from the race lead. And Castaneves will go in front for now. Castaneves looking good for second place and another podium for him. Could it be 2 podiums for Leightonhausen? Could they become the first team in League One in the Grand Prix World Series to achieve a 1-2 finish? Come close before. In League One we've had a first and a third, I believe. We've never had a 1 and 2 in League One, but Leightonhausen are the only team in Grand Prix World Series history to achieve a 1-2 finish in any race in the Grand Prix World Series. They've done it twice in League 2 last season. Could they do it for the first time in League 1 and their third overall? Castaneves continuing on his way. There's a meddling coming out of the pits there. And the Leightonhausen nearly running into it there. Castaneves staying out there. Correa has to apply to the blue flags and does so. Bianca Dea is off the track for the second time in this race. It's down at turn 1. It just goes from bad to worse for him here. He needs to get out of that gravel trap rather soon. That's the Spaniard. Dea just needs to be careful not to rejoin into the path of the other drivers. He gets back on track now. Castaneves is coming into the pits from the race lead here. And Boehm will go back ahead of him. Van Dorn will continue on, I think. Unless he's coming into the pits also. He's in the pits, so Boehm will go back into the lead. Marco Wittmann, who's had a brilliant race so far. Don't think he'll get in front of Castaneves or Van Dorn. He's due to pit before this race is over. In fact, he's in the pits now, is Wittmann. Now he'll rejoin behind Grosjean and De Vries. Now there is Van Dorn rejoining in front of Kobayashi and Markelov. These two are still due to pit, I thought, before this race is over. I think Markelov is about to complete an overtake on Kobayashi in a minute. Can he make a move up the inside into turn 3, maybe? Don't think he has done on this occasion. There is Buemi. 15 seconds clear of Helio Castaneves. Owen up there in 3rd place. From her at 4th, and Stoffel Van Dorn after his stop is in 5th. Got 18 laps to go. 17 laps to go, I should say. And it's looking very good for Leightonhouse now. And they will lead the team's championship for sure after this race, as it stands. Sebastian Buemi's victory won't put him into the lead of the championship because this is his first race of the campaign. But Castaneves' 2nd place will move him to the top of the table of the Drivers' Championship. And Leighton House with their 1-2 finish here. They'll go a long way clear of the rest. And Syntec will go up into second place. Yokunde's in the pits, but he's well and truly out of sync with the others now anyway. There's Kobayashi, Dixon and Markelov coming into the pits. And there is Markelov, who's just been out of the pits and he's gone into the gravel trap. He's not the first driver to have done that today. A few others have done it as well. He's meant to carry too much speed into the corner here. He's spun the car around. And can he get out of that? It's a shame because Markelov was on the brink of points, but there's no chance of that now. Ward and Hertz have come into the pits at the same time, as has Mahathir Raghunathan. That will promote Grosjean and Bourdais back up to 4th and 5th. De Vries now 6th. And Wittmann will be in 7th place. And Markelov is taking a long time to get out of that gravel trap here. I wonder if this could well be the end of the race for him, unless he gets that car back onto the circuit, and it's taken a long time to get out of there. Given how long he's been in the gravel trap for, I thought it'd be too long before we see the marshals pushing him to the side, out of the way. He's trying to wait for cars to go by, but he's just losing more and more time trying to get out of that. He's reversing back onto the circuit now. And he's nearly spinning the car around, but he's got going anyway. He's in 18th position ahead of Danny Yonkandea. There is Sebastian Buemi. And reversing back onto the track, and Artem Markelov has been given a back of the grid penalty and he's suspended until the end of the season. Now that's an interesting one. It's a very, very interesting one. As Nick de Vries gets past Sebastian Bourdais. Now if Markelov is suspended until the end of the season, is that going to open the door for Nico Prost to get back in the car for the next race in Fuji? That'll be something for discussion after. Let's go layout. Gets lapped by the Leighton House. That'll be Hideo Christian Evers, I think. Galea hasn't had too much to celebrate at his home event here in Sentul. As Nicholas Latifi gets overtaken by Scott Dixon at turn 10. Dixon trying to get back into the points. He's got enough time to do that. There's Van Dorn in P3. Can't do anything about the top two up front. Buemi in P1. Nearly 16 seconds clear of his teammate. Nick de Vries will be happy with his return to the Grand Prix World Series for Minardi. Ironically enough, it's the team that was once Minardi, then became Toro Rosso, and now AlphaTauri. Not I need to go into detail about how that panned out for him. Stoffel Vandoorne running in P3. With his teammate Scott Dixon in P12 behind Kamui Kobayashi as Wittmann locks up into turn 1, but he's able to keep the car on the circuit, unlike his teammate Artem Markelov. Now, I think the back of the grid penalty for Markelov could well be that it's a suspended one, the back of the grid penalty, until the end of the season. So if he does something like that again, it will be a back of the grid drop. I think what saved him from suspension really was the fact that he didn't collide with anyone as he rejoined. And the pit stops are more or less completed now, so it's just all about these last 12 laps now. And Vandoorne, who's running in P3. Simtek looking to get a podium out of this one. It's been tough showing in Yongam last time out. It's been rather tough here too. Dixon is making a move on Kobayashi now. Into turn 1. Does he go for it? Does he get past Kobayashi? The answer is yes. 11th position going to the Kiwi. Buemi completing another lap. Going on to lap 46. Next car to be lapped is Paul Di Resta in the Super Aguri. So Sebastian Buemi looking to continue on without any drama. Scott Herta, I think he's just got overtaken by Nakajima, but he's trying to get back through on Nakajima. And he's going to get through on the Onyx and go up into 9th position. AGS in real need of some points here. And they won't want to waste that opportunity. Alex Palou out of the race. Alex Lynn, Robin Frines, Antonio Felix da Costa, Roy Nissani, Adrian Sutil, and Marino Sato, who were lost a long time ago. Nikandeo and Markelov down a couple of laps on the leader. We see Scott Dixon getting past Kazuki Nakajima. He's managed to get back into the points. Some effort from the New Zealander, the reigning world champion. The reigning drivers champion of this series. As Kamui Kobayashi looks to get past his compatriot Kazuki Nakajima. And up into 11th place goes the man who finished on the podium at the Japanese Grand Prix 2012 for Sauber, proved to be his only Formula 1 podium. Sebastian Buemi would have hoped to have reached that kind of height when he was in Formula 1, but now is in the focus of what he's doing in the World Endurance Championship and in Formula E. Formula E champion in 2015-16. He's already won the 24 Hours of Le Mans on a number of occasions. There's Castroneves, who's 9 laps away from another podium finish here after starting on pole. Castroneves, who's approaching the cross of Artem Markelov. Wittmann, who's running in P7. Of Was to achieve 6 championship points for the team. And there is Neves. What a day it's been for Chris Cavendish so far. Will there be any more twists in this race, or is it going to finish as we are seeing it at the moment? One driver to keep an eye on is Scott Dixon, who's trying to make his way past Colton Herter at the moment. And we're about to see an overtake now as Dixon has got past Colton Herter and he goes up into 9th position. The next man ahead of him is Patrick Ward in 8th. We're about to see the overtake from Dixon now. So Ward is clear. Won't be too long before Dixon catches up to him. He'll have some ground to make up on. 7th place Marco Wittmann should he get by the Mexican. As we see Regunathan get past Nicholas Latifi, and they too make contact. That was really clumsy from Regunathan, and Latifi's gone for a spin. Let's go for a replay again. Yeah, it was just too far back was Regunathan, and Latifi just went off the track and spun around. Now I just hope Latifi does not rejoin back into the path of the other drivers. But yeah, I think Regunathan, it's just clumsy from Regunathan. You could argue maybe a little bit that Latifi didn't leave enough room, but Regunathan was never going to have that corner. So the Midland Marina Salsa gets past. And Yunkandaya will want to try and get through without any drama. Latifi should be able to rejoin. And he's okay from there now. And behind Latifi is Artem Markle, I think, is a lap down. And Regunathan has just received a 10-second time penalty and will start the next race from the back of the grid. So wherever he will finish, there'll be 10 more seconds added to his time. 40 haven't had too much to celebrate here anyway. It's still not a good sign to see Regunathan get penalised. And also Roy Nissani, who had been in trouble earlier for the shenanigans with Robin Fines earlier on. Dave Goddard's got some debriefing to do with both Regunathan and Nissani after the race. I wonder what he will be saying to them. Guaymi coming up to lap the Super Aguri of Paul di Resta. We wouldn't have thought Super Aguri would be off the pace today. They're not going to get anything out of it, and neither do they deserve to. They've been really shocking. And Latifi is about to be overtaken here by Markelov, who is actually a lap down on him. And Castroneves is trying to lap the pair of them here. 3 drivers on different laps to each other. And 5 laps to go at the end of this one. Bohemia's lead is just under 15 seconds. Bordeaux locking up into turn number 4, but continuing. No such worries there for the Frenchman. Looks like both Onyx drivers, I'll say both Onyx drivers. Bourdais in 6th place, Nakajima in 12th. And Dixon is just over 3 seconds behind, or 3 seconds behind Patrick Ward in the fight for 8th position. How long it'll be before he comes up to like Juan Manuel Correa. He's not too far up the road from him. Now, all the drivers more or less have completed enough laps to be classified, which would be important for the team managers to use in the upgrade window. That's coming up after this race, and we've seen plenty of penalties throughout the 2 races here in Sentul. A lot of ticking offs, a few drivers receiving race bans. Nicholas Latifi, I will remind you. Van Dorn in P3, doing his best. Through turn 1 he goes. Van Dorn having no such issues with his car. So he goes through turns 3 and 4. 16 seconds is the gap between the top 2. Christian Evans isn't thinking about the gap right now. He's just focusing on bringing the car home. You know you're not going to catch the driver ahead. Don't throw away what you've got. Not long to go now here in Sentul as Sebastian Buemi has started his 3rd to last lap of this race, lap 54 out of 56. Master Gunnathan is trying to keep his car on the circuit. A 10-second time penalty will drop him down a position. Having said that, I think Correa may well be about to be lapped. If that's the case, then the Gunnathan won't be dropping down a position even with the penalty. Scott Dixon is still behind Pato O'Ward at the moment. The gap is only a couple of seconds. Dixon hasn't got a lot of time now. I think Wittmann is out of reach for him, but 8th position is still possible. Neves in 2nd place. Two laps to go for Sebastian Buemi. He's coming up to lap Correa now. So going into turn 3. So Gunnathan is not going to be losing the position as it stands now. Van Dorn. Just waiting for the checker flag to come out now. Like an all-important podium for the team and for himself. Tied in the first race in Sepang. His 7th in Yongam. A fine way to return to the podium. The last podium that he'll have achieved. Van Dorn, who finished 8th overall last season. His last podium, we have to go all the way back to Argentina, where he finished 2nd. Picked up a couple of wins last season as well in rounds 4 and 7 in Yongam and Kyalami. We're on the last lap now anyway, and Sebastian Buemi is very close to the checkered flag. And what a brilliant race it's been for him and for Leighton House, as Casanova is trying to get past Markelov there, and Markelov is not obeying the blue flags. That won't please Chris Cavani by any means. But Buemi is about to come through 4 more corners now. And what a way to substitute, fill in for Will Power. Sebastian Buemi is about to complete his final lap, and what a dominant drive it's been from him since he got past Castroneves in the opening stages. Sebastian Buemi, on his return to the Grand Prix World Series, wins the Sentul Grand Prix in League 1. A fabulous performance from him, and it's the first 1-2 finish in League 1 in the Grand Prix World Series, and it's done by the same team that completed a 1-2 finish on a couple of occasions last season in League 2. It is Chris Cavani's Leighton House team. Castroneves on the podium for the second race running in second position. And you have to go to Stoffel van Dorn back on the podium for Simtek. A much needed podium. Romain Grosjean picking up Manor's first points of the season in 4th place. And behind him is the Minardi of Nick de Vries, replacing Jean-Eric Verne. He comes home in 5th. Sebastian Bourdais is in 6th place for Onyx. Marco Wittmann bags Prost's first points of the year in 7th. It's Pato Award 8th. And Scott Dixon coming home in a disappointing 9th. And Colton Herter bagging a point for AGS in 10th. Their first point of the campaign. Kobayashi, Nakajima and Ragunathan missing out the points. But what a win for Sebastian Buemi for Leighton House. They are back on top and for the first time in League 1. Helio Castroneves completing a brilliant day in 2nd place for the team. 1-2 for them. Stoffel van Dorn 3rd. Romain Grosjean 4th. Nick de Vries 5th. Sebastian Bourdais 6th. Marco Wittmann 7th. They've got Pato Award, Scott Dixon and Colton Herter running out the point scorers. Kimura Kobayashi, Kazuki Nakajima, Mahathir Ragunathan, Juan Manuel Correa, Paul de Resta, Nicholas Latifi, who is excluded from the race result. So Sean Gallo will be 16th ahead of Danny Okunde and Mark Loeffler with the rest of the finishers. Alex Palou, Alex Lynn, Robin Frines, Antonio Felix da Costa, Ryan Nassani, Adrian Sutil and Marino Sato were the drivers that did not finish. Antonio Felix da Costa got the point for the fastest lap despite retiring, and the point for pole position went to Helio Castroneves. Well, that's it, and Sentul very much put on a show for the first time in the Grand Prix World Series. And I have to say, I cannot wait for the next round to come in Fuji. In terms of where that leaves the championship, well, I'll leave that for Topher Smith to run down for you.
Well, thank you very much, Tom Cairns. 2 fantastic races in Sentul today. And Leighton House picks up the first ever 1-2 finish in League 1, and a fantastic achievement by them. And it has put Helio Castroneves into the lead of the driver standings on 37 points. 8 points ahead of Scott Dixon and Simtek, who takes 1 point home to move himself ahead of Antonio Felix da Costa, who holds on to 3rd on 28. Sebastian Buemi's win today moves him up into equal 4th, but ahead of Paul de Resta on countback. Stoffel van Dorn puts both Simtex into the top 6, ahead of Will Power, who missed today and will miss the next race in Fuji as well. He'll have to play catch-up when he returns later on in the season. Pato Award's on 16 ahead of Danny Okunde, 2 arrows in the top 9. And Romain Grosjean rounds out the top 10 for Manor on 12 points. As far as the team standings are concerned, Leighton House's 1-2 finish today gives them a healthy 30-point advantage over Simtek, 80 points to 50, ahead of Minardi on 46. Super Guri not scoring today. They've dropped from 1st down to 4th still on 37 points. Not a great day in the office for Michael Gillespie. Arrows are 5th on 31 ahead of Onyx on 19. BAR have 13, Manor have 12, and then Prost and HRT on 6 apiece in 9th and 10th. Well, it has been an absolutely fantastic day here in Sentul. League 1 and League 2 both providing a lot of drama, a lot of action, and we cannot wait for the next race in Fuji, Japan, which always promises to be an exciting one. We hope you can join us next time. Take care.